This is the achievethecore.org Common Core Coherence Map. This is an amazing tool because it takes us from where we are, what our students are learning right now, but also visualizes for us where they've come from and where they're going, and provides resources for what we can do if we need to take our students back a step or enrich them and take them forward a step. So once you reach into the Coherence Map, let's grab grade 3, and we'll just grab Operations and Algebraic Thinking and look at the very first standard. What you'll see when you click Map Standard is, first of all, this network of information. But look right at the standard itself. This one is 3.08.A.1, or interpreting products of whole numbers as the total of the objects in the number of groups of objects. So it tells us a little bit more about that. It gives us an example task that you can use in your class, potentially to challenge your students or to assess them on this. A solution to it with understandings for you to look at, and you can download that if you want it in a different format. But along the standard, there's even more. There's a little bit more about the progressions that students are learning from prior concepts leading into this. There's a little bit more about lessons you can use. This is, if we link out to here, another lesson you can use to help teach this particular standard. In this case, there's an actual assessment for this standard here as well. It's a little mini assessment that you can give on the standard. Some standards have that and some standards don't. Even farther down from there, there are released assessment items. We have one from the NWEA assessment, which a lot of you use, and the Smarter Balanced assessment. Sometimes you'll find New York Regents exams, park assessments, and more. And there's another reminder of the focus of where this fits in the grade 3 learning curriculum. That is just this standard alone. But when it comes to students who need support, especially students we've identified in an RTI structure, what's more important here is not the standard itself, which is valuable. It's the prior content standards. What you see in this map is that in order for a student to be successful in their learning of this particular standard, we should have known that they'd be successful in 2 NBTA2, 2 AOC3, and 2 AOC4. If they can do those standards well, it's likely that they're going to be able to engage with this standard well enough. So if my students are struggling as I begin this, I have the option to go back to these prerequisite standards and see what information is there, see what tasks and assessment items I could use to maybe pre-assess my students before we start teaching this, or maybe support them one step back and see, are they actually ready for this? Are they engaging with this correctly, or is there a misconception in a prior standard? And if there's no misconception in a prior standard, then maybe it's me. Maybe the way I'm teaching it, or maybe the way we're engaging with it now is causing the problem. But this is an excellent place to find that direct prerequisite standard and materials that support it so that you can use that in your RTI structure. But let's not forget to look forward. This particular standard is in a major cluster in grade 3. And that major cluster in grade 3 shows us that this particular standard is feeding out into a lot. If you are going to be successful in 3 AOB5, another third grade standard on multiplication and division, but also 4th grade and 5th grade, and even a 6th grade standard on applying and extending previous understandings of multiplication and division to dividing fractions, then you're going to want your students to be successful on this standard. So this is one of those hard anchor standards. We know that this one is going to play out later in a lot of different ways. So let's make sure they understand it. And if they don't understand it while we're teaching it, let's step back inside and find out what we can do to remediate that and make it specific and actionable and different for these kids so that each one of them gets the opportunity to be successful here and build on that success in all of these upcoming standards as well. That's the Common Core Coherence Map. It's a powerful tool that connects the standards, connects their resources and their understandings, but gives you a great map of where all of these standards are going, where they've come from, and what it is you need to know about how to connect them.